record the meeting. Okay.
I apologize. What I would like to start with saying to you is, following due consultation with the distinguished chair of the Committee on Law, Rule, and Ethics, I would like to suggest an amendment, if I can get widespread consent, to the proposed resolution, which is stated on page 21 of the document. By adding at the end of the third line, which commences with the words "report and its appendices," the following words: in substantially the form attached, in substantially this form.
I don't see that.
Yeah.
We're looking at the revised section, and you're the 21 of the revised section.
Yes.
Okay, and then, where exactly?
I think you're talking
The end
about,
of one in substantially this form.
Would be, are you on a whereas? Yeah, are you on a whereas, or are you in the first,
I'm in number one.
the top?
then that's probably page 22.
Substantially in this form,
Yeah.
not in this form.
Yes.
On 22.
Oh, so it ends up in 22 in the
Yeah.
amended, okay.
Substantially in this form.
I'm in the new, I'm in what.
Yeah.
In the new
Page
section,
22.
22.
Chuck, it's page 22.
Not 21,
Oh,
yeah.
on what you have, it's 21, I have the original.
Okay.
Wait, so what, where was?
On page 22, number 1,
Yes.
Now that makes sense.
on the third line, the attached report and its appendices.
Yeah.
And what was the wording?
In substantially this,
Substantially in this form.
substantially in this form. Okay. Does that meet with consent? Any, for anybody dissent? All right. Now, I've put in some of the comments that have been given to me. There are a few that I did not get to. Got yours, Laura. I got hold of Bender's, and a couple of others that are now in here. What I propose to do is tomorrow, if my stomach has improved and my mind has become clearer, I will add those comments so that we get to where we need to go. There's only one alternative, and that's to call yet another meeting. And I don't know about you, but my wife will kill me.
I would note, I did, one edit I did make is you make 3 references to Frank Hogan,
Yeah, I was looking at that right now. Mhm.
Three references.
to DA Frank Hogan. While it's a good point, the redundancy.
That's the point that Bender made, and some of that's in here.
Okay.
But I will tell you, I believe that repetitive reference to him in this context is appropriate. Here is a man who had more experience and integrity than any public servant since his time, in my opinion, including me.
And he's probably the most misquoted DA in the country about indicting a ham sandwich.
But he told me and so in order to make this thing accurate, the footnote that appears at the bottom of page 4 of mine, maybe 5 of you, it's footnote number 5. Notes that a former building commissioner recounted the following: I am that commissioner. I would take the oath that what I've said in here is 100% true. Had nothing to do with the people. First few days I was in office, I went to see Frank Hogan. That was one of the principal things he said to do. The other one was involving the corruption in the department. But this is an issue that's very clear.
Oh, I'm not questioning that at all, Chuck. It's just, it's an anecdote that's used 3 times. Twice in text, once in the footnotes. That's all.
Stop the
It's recording. It's recording.
Oh, you already did? Yeah. Right. I have a comment.
Yes,
Number 2, rejects the proposal. Did you put city of yes for housing opportunity proposal? When you say reject.
proposal is a defined term.
Yeah, it's defined in the first paragraph.
Housing, defined right in the first paragraph.
Although, as a, resolution, this will be independent of that text in the beginning. So it is where
The
the,
proposal there, I saw
So
it.
you want me to spell it out?
yeah, only in the resolution,
Number 2.
yeah.
I have no
Of
problem.
resolve, just to be clear.
No, point's well taken.
Number 2, yes, reject,
The city of yes,
city of yes.
colon, housing opportunity proposal.
All right, any other?
You follow that?
Well, one of the suggestions,
You follow that?
Jessica.
I follow, yeah, I follow it.
Jessica offered generously to put together a executive summary
An outline.
for the board meeting, and I see no reason that we can't submit it to them at that time. But what we should do, please, is circulate it to the committee members well in advance. I am leaving the United States on the 26th in the morning. My grandson's getting married, and I'm willing to endure rockets, bombs, and the rest to attend. I'm willing to skip the board meeting.
If I can respond, so I have already, so I created a Google Doc and I added all the special committee members, including Farah and Julie, and the board email. So it's a live document, so,
Put them on there.
oh, of course, every member.
I'm
David,
not
yeah, you're
actually a
in it.
member.
Okay, I'll add David, not a problem. I'll add you actually right now.
Ed Bender.
And Bob Bender, okay.
Who is that with the hand up?
It's just, yeah, it's just the cursor.
I just added David,
One moment, please.
I'll add Bob just because his email's not coming up when I write it, so you probably know it, okay. So what I'm doing right now,
Are there any, my wife told me she's gone upstairs. I promised.
Oh, Karen has her hand raised, okay. Oh, wait.
You upstairs?
Karen's hand is up.
no, we all have it.
She could not until.
I'm gonna forward you what I sent him last.
See her way upstairs.
I bet it's, if I may.
No, you
All right, now,
Google, the point is for you to, yeah.
That means I gotta redo them all.
ladies
A little
and
bit.
gentlemen, the members of the committee have received, some of them as late as this morning, or this afternoon, a copy of a red-lined version of the report and proposal. And so they will be prepared, willing, what have you, to discuss it from that standpoint. The proposed resolution, which we will act on, allows action on the report and the proposal in substantially the form of the red line that was circulated, so as to allow us to pick up additional corrections, such as, for example, the appendix numbers in some of the cases are not yet included. There are typos. There are only 24 hours, unfortunately, in the day. quite an undertaking.
To which you are to be commended.
Pardon me?
Thank you.
To which you are to be commended
Thank you.
and appreciated.
Thank you. So, that said, are there any substantive comments? Yes.
Yes, a lot. So it's part of where I am with the draft of the outline of the resolution, to like summarize all the points. So, you know, we have our introduction, the page 1 is our introduction, which is that pursuant to the appointment, yada, yada, to city planning, right? That, no comments there, but in the preliminary statement, we talk about 3 different buckets of issues, one being misrepresentation, which we identified that the whole point of this city of yes, right, is that the proposal is to support affordable housing, but it is not an affordable housing program, right? So I think that's the first point of misrepresentation from the proposal that we are identifying as a huge issue. And then the next bucket is open invitations. I understood it to be, one of the open invitations that I understood were enticing owners of small houses, to earn the extra cash, right, by adding the dwelling units in the backyard, and converting their garages, and those provoking other issues where, a homeowner might say, a small homeowner might say, like, I want this proposal to move forward because I have the acreage to, maybe participate in this enticing offer to put in an additional home in their backyard. But what the proposal lacks to do, which you mentioned in this proposal, is what that would actually cost and whether or not that would be feasible for any, an average homeowner, particularly in our district. And then the second open invitation that I noticed was, the fact that it opens an invitation to developers who want to make money and participate in these new zoning, right, which is what you quote, the one-sided gift to the developers, unmindful of the city's future and the overwhelming need for low and moderate income New Yorkers. So the fact that the proposal actually benefits the wealthy more than it supports those in need, but it's supposed to be for those in need, doesn't do enough to support those in need, right? So I wanted, my question is, are there any other open invitations in that bucket that you'd like to add?
Well, let me make a point. My view, after having read this, I don't know how many hundred pages, is that it is in its entire context an attempt to change, reduce, and emasculate the zoning resolution. So that anywhere you turn here, I'll give you an example, all right? There is no question, zero, that if somebody wanted to, they could assemble and build a multi-story building with stores on the ground floor in Fieldston. They could do that all over Fieldston. And there goes that enclave. Okay, there are worse things in life than that, and they are here too. So let me assure you. One of the specific examples that Mr. Graziano has called to our attention is Washington Houses in Manhattan. And it could easily be replicated at Marble Hill. And I'll come back to that in a minute. This is Washington Houses. But under this proposal, and the infill section alone, look at what you can jam in there. You can jam in more housing than is in Washington Houses. Now, people who live in housing authority developments are not subject to being penalized by being condemned to living in a sardine can just because they are needy. That is despicable as a concept in my view. And it's a view that I've espoused at HDC and have imposed infill throughout this district. So I'm going to continue to do that. If you know the Marble Hill houses at all, anywhere you see a significant green space, whether it's parking on the surface, whether it's benches, or whether it's a garbage area where they stock it up. Most of those have the requisite minimum footage, and they could be a private house. They could become a luxury accommodation.
Well, the whole center oval of Marble Hill.
Right. Same thing with Fort Independence, same thing with Housing Authority buildings, and that's what they want to extend.
That's where they have family day, and they hold all kinds of functions. and
They want to extend that,
Marble Hill, that huge
not
oval.
just the Housing Authority buildings, they want to extend it to wherever you live. Frankly, I have the view, and it is my personal opinion, and I have no additional support, but the instinctive reactions that have led me in the right way in any area involving housing. Somebody has a hook, and that hook was used here to put this thing through. It stinks.
Chuck, just a quick question for my own understanding. To the end, the resolution itself in the first whereas,
Yep.
did I miss something? Second line, examine the several parts comprising the submission. City of yes for housing opportunity 2024?
Yep.
Laura.
I just want to comment that I think that your report goes into depth about, the rejection of our 197A plan, the issues that we're struggling in as of right with town center and city, transit zones and the whole bit. I think it explains our position very well, including, eliminating all the parking requirements. So I think it hits the high note. And that's why I think that, I approve this, resolution.
You had more, Jess?
Yeah, no, so what I did so far, right, first, thank you so much for doing this, is, I just made like a list of what kind of actions we're looking to have as a result of everything that's mentioned here. And if I can kind of like summarize those things, right? So certain understandings that I got out of this was, number one, we're looking for, I guess, the city to provide an assurance as to whether or not truly affordable housing must be and will be in fact permanently provided under the proposal, right? So that was one of the points that I felt like was made, because despite it being sold as an affordable housing plan, it's not. The second point is, we're asking the city to commit to all or the predominant percentage of the development under the proposal to go solely to those conceitedly in need, right? Namely, low and truly moderate income earners, right? That's footnote 2, which we then we're asking them to provide an updated definition and rubric for affordable housing, right? Because that was part of that misleading.
So let me stop you a minute. You're viewing it in a somewhat different light, although what you have said is correct.
Right, those are my summary points, right, that I got out of it.
Let me make a point. I view the absence of many, if not most of those points, in and of itself to require rejection.
Agree.
And so it's not, we're asking the city to do it. We're saying the failure to do these and other things dooms the proposal in our view.
Agree. And, yeah.
So there's nothing in the proposal about maintaining current affordable housing stock that we have.
You don't have to, because they will then say it's not my job. So the only way it becomes their job is they've used that as the excuse for this. And the excuse was wanting because they did not themselves even provide for affordable housing.
The comments I sent you, are you going to include them?
Which one?
Comments I tried to send you.
Yes.
You're gonna include
Yes,
them?
yes.
So I don't
I
have to
sent
repeat
you a
them?
note to that.
You said thank you. I don't know what that means.
I said working on it.
Okay.
Is this committee the Special Committee on City of Yes Housing or Housing Opportunity?
Housing opportunity.
Okay. There are a number of cases where opportunity is missing.
You send me a note and I'll put it all in.
Well, no, there's already a Google Doc. It can just be updated
No.
dynamically.
You're not gonna change the text of the resolution, because then we get into trouble with City of Yes, pardon me.
Open meetings law.
Open meeting law.
Mhm.
Open meeting law is, we can make, maybe, purely mechanical changes like page so-and-so included citations and the like. We cannot make substantive changes, and it would be declared invalid, or they would claim it was invalid, and therefore not consider it at all. So, the document you are preparing will become an executive summary
I see.
of the
Okay.
committee, so it's a different document.
I see. Okay, so I guess then my only comment would be what I had emailed where, going to the point of the proposal benefiting the wealthy developers more than the people in need is, I would like to add, that we can commit to, if the point is to help people in need, right? How do
Should
you-
have done that.
Right, how do we help people in need?
But they didn't do it.
They didn't do it, right?
At all.
So it's just like,
So that's
let them
your
build.
executive summary.
Right, no, but it's, what I'm saying is that it's not here, like,
Okay.
we're not saying, hey, we should add job opportunities for those same people in need, so they can also participate in their own resolution.
Jessica, let me make a point to you. There is a point that is perhaps inadequately made in here. This does not touch a number of critical elements in making the decision on the part of an investor or a builder who is investing his own money on a speculative basis in the building. Doesn't make it work for them just to do this, because they can't get the financing. All right? Or they can't get it at terms that would permit them to rent it out at affordable housing needs. Are there answers to that? Yes. City has flatly refused to do them so far. One, expand HDC's authority and resources so it can lend more money on cheaper basis through bonding to developers to develop buildings and space that is affordable, which is all that HDC does, is affordable housing. Okay? Number one. Number two, it can give tax relief. One of the cost items in all of this is the material is all taxable. All right?
There you go, thank you.
It can do things like giving them first crack at surplus city space. If you know where St. Barnabas Hospital is in the Belmont district, there is an old garage, takes up about a third of the block. Hasn't been used in years. Hasn't been used in years. Now, there's a hold on it from the Department of Sanitation. That hold's been there for 3 years. I'll give you a better one. There is a place called, or was called, the New York Hospital for the permanently disabled or mentally something, along the Hutchison River Parkway. It's acre upon acre upon acre. A small piece of it was spun off for the benefit of a Bronx developer, all right? But he put in a movie theater and other stuff. But the point is, that should all be housing. And if you then do the following, it works. Look, it's state land. We already own it. It's government owned. If you agree to do supportive housing, if you agree to do subsidized housing, if you agree to do affordable housing in the true sense, we will lease the land to you for 99 years. If you don't get it. Now you've taken a part of the huge land costs out of the equation. Those are the things that do the trick. They are not willing to do that in this administration. They have constantly refused.
Chuck, any of these suggestions or what you're discussing right now, that's not in this.
It's not in it at all, yeah.
No.
It isn't.
Which, those resolutions?
No, it's in the-
Not a resolution.
It's in the,
There
it's
is a
in the
reference.
report.
It's in the report.
Yeah, okay, because it sounded familiar, but I can't remember. And I'm
Part
like,
of
oh,
it.
that sounds very good. Hope it's in the report. And saying it's in the report. Okay.
Chuck, maybe I'm wordsmithing this too much, but in the resolution,
Yes.
we have a whereas, and a resolve. And the resolve starts in a positive language to move on to a negative language. That's to say, resolve, that CBA adopts and urges CBA to likewise accept, adopt, and promulgate appropriate persons and its appendices. And then we say rejects and calls upon city council reps and urging city council to sell. It's just that adopts and urges, it sounds positive to me when what we're trying to say is negative. Or is that standard for resolutions?
What I'm trying to do there, and I'm open to any changes people want, what I'm trying to do there is make it as simple as I possibly can on the, because you're gonna have 58 people with different views on grammar,
I mean,
punctuation,
David.
and substance. But if you come up with language, send it to me, I'll take it.
Fair enough.
As you know, I've bounced every draft off on many people.
Mhm.
Some I didn't have for example, your email or yours until 48 hours ago, 72. I called for it and asked for it. The moment I got it, I sent it right out to you.
Yeah, I sent you back my thoughts today. I mean, I thought the subsequent pages were, I didn't realize this was gonna be entirely submitted.
Same.
Well, I'll tell you why we're doing that. The purpose of it is twofold. One, a lengthy resolution is gonna have the nitpickers have a wonderful day at the board meeting. That's not helpful. And it's also gonna allow city planning to have a field day with the language of the resolution. That's why, again, I put it in here and made it so narrow. Second reason is, I think we ought to make clear what the specific problems are in terms of highlighting them and recognizing we haven't touched all of them. If we don't, how do you justify it? That's exactly what they're going to say. What they did was, and please understand, I'm not trying to be lecturing or in any way. What they have done is they've circulated to the community boards a checklist of one after another things. I like this, I don't like that. I like this, I don't like that. If you do that, you come up with 6 I likes. And so their report to the city council is, the following 6 likes portions were approved by so-and-so, without commenting on the negatives. That's an old-fashioned scheme that's been used in the past. It really is, in my view, not something people ought to do in government. But that's what they do. And by the way, that's not my view alone. I've spoken to several present and former commissioners, not one of whom disagrees. And the point I've just made has been repeated by a variety of boards throughout the city.
Yeah, Graziano points out that 4 out of 5 borough presidents have approved this, but 21 out of 30 community boards have disapproved it.
That's called contracts.
The
Did you know that the law of contracts supersedes zoning?
BP's hearing was today.
Yeah.
How did she come out with an opinion before she had a,
A lot of the boards have.
but just note that in the last City of Yes, economic development, we voted yes, with conditions, and they counted as a yes vote.
Yeah. They did.
That's exactly what they did. They
I
do
didn't know
that.
that. See, that's why this language, disturbs me, that I just raised. Might one say, resolve that the special committee, in disappointment, adopts and urges CB8 to likewise accept and adopt these versions, two, rejects the proposal, calls upon the members. But basically, by starting off by saying in disappointment.
Tried to make it as simple.
I understand.
Anything we do that's complicated gives them.
Okay.
Why
You've written many more of these than I have.
Let me tell you.
I've approached this section of it as a litigator. I believe, just so you know, I believe this is wide open for litigation on a variety of fronts. Okay. I have no intention of doing it unless the board were to instruct me to sue them, and then I'd be happy to do so.
Can you change that sentence? Presumably, this goes nowhere if we don't adopt.
Right.
So if we start off with, instead of adopt and urges, start off with urges Bronx Community Board 8 to accept, adopt, and promulgate, it's different than what, I think what David's concerned about.
That's fine. Yeah, I think adopts and being deleted is helpful, is very helpful.
Right.
And less
Urges,
convoluted in mind.
adopts is out.
And I'll take out the word likewise.
Adopt is out.
Do it on the Google Doc.
Adopt
Right, resolved one.
What's out adopts?
Okay.
By virtue of presenting this, we adopted it.
Cross out adopt, urges.
Capital U, urges Bronx Community Board 8 to likewise
So we have to admit
What does it have to say?
Urges.
adopt the report.
It doesn't exist if we don't adopt it.
Oh, okay.
So you're starting with urges,
Urges,
Bronx
correct.
Board 8.
Yes.
Urges.
To likewise.
To likewise.
So you want to
accept.
start with
Urges.
Community Board 8,
Urges Bronx Community Board 8,
who urges?
Special committee. The committee in the sentence before.
resolve that the special committee on the City of Yes Housing, there's something missing,
Housing opportunity. Housing opportunity.
urges Bronx Community Board 8 to accept, adopt, and promulgate to the appropriate persons and entities the attached report and its appendices.
Substantially informed.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest should be fine.
Anything else? Now,
Karen.
look, I'm gonna work on this, oh yeah, I'll get to that. I have to do the committee members first, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. What I have to do is, if you can get to me tomorrow, I've carved out the afternoon and evening to get this done. So if you get that to me, your comments specific, not your executive summary, although that's welcome, but specific to this, I can do that tomorrow.
Specifically just this resolution?
No,
Oh, okay.
resolution, and anything else you think
Okay.
of after reading the changes.
Okay.
Most of the, I think all of the changes that Bender, for example, who went line by line, are in here.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
They're in red lettering on the original. Okay, anybody else on the committee?
I just wanted to state that I sent you my edits today, and, I mean, this document is much different than the one I received, I guess, last night. So I haven't received this
Would you
one.
do this? You did not receive it until this afternoon.
No, that, no one was, no, we
This
just
is
got.
a compilation of,
They got it from
others'
the
edits.
meeting about an hour ago.
Oh, okay, well, I printed it for everyone, I sent it to Lee as well.
If you can
Since all-
get
since 4 o'clock.
your comments by tomorrow afternoon, I will try and put them in here and get it over to you.
I'll take a look at the remainder of the document, but the first several pages, maybe like the first 6 or 7 pages, I sent you my edits, it's gonna be different than this, but I'll try to get to the rest of the document, but I just thought as sort of like a executive summary, I was on the same page as you, wanting to just spell out for those in the community who may access this document, just to make it clear, you know, bold the top of each sort of like section, group it, and then keep a balance between, apartments and, single home
The
owners.
executive summary does not have to ape the solution, which is the whole report. And so variations in that regard are fine, as long as they don't say black becomes white and yes becomes no.
Yeah, and I tried to just like outline some of the arguments that I thought I heard us referring to in the previous meeting, so I've grouped some additional areas. But again, it'll be different, but I'll just leave that up to you. I mean, it's just a recommendation.
I have your comments, I
Okay.
will do it.
Okay.
But honestly, I didn't have your email address asked her until yesterday.
Actually, this is Bob Bender's.
All right, anybody else from the
Yesterday
committee?
morning.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that the reason why we're kind of pushing forward is because they didn't give us a lot of time, right?
No.
So, and you did mention that we're just like, we weren't given a lot of time to review something that's so impactful to us for, you know, the rest of our future, right? So,
I think what you need to do is, send Paul Graziano's latest version with the figures in it showing how seriously impacting they can do this as of right.
That's in the 4 o'clock,
I saw you today.
at 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, from Paul.
Without you, Lerp?
Karen.
Without you, Lev,
okay. Paul
many
sent us
cases
something.
without even board
I
review.
have something to read.
That was one of
from
my
Paul.
comments.
Hmm?
That was one of my comments.
I have something to read from Paul. Paul only because he texted me today. He's presenting tonight somewhere else. All right. He only showed, regarding what he sent us, he only showed the parcels that are currently 5,000 square feet or larger in R1 and R2. That's it. That would be immediately eligible for transit-oriented development apartment buildings. Not 3, 4, and 5, and, you know, he did not show the properties less than 5,000 square feet in those zones that could be acquired and assembled by a developer to make it 5,000 square feet. He did not show how eligible properties in the R3, R4, R5 zones would be affected whatsoever. He only had a limited time. Please, and then he wrote, please comment on the campus infill example for high-density public housing in this case. He forwarded today, which is a good example of what could happen in our R6 and R7 zones. Also, the R4 example in his previous presentation will be applicable for much of our CB area. But he wanted me to
He's focusing on one aspect, but let me give you another aspect. If instead of using the town center exception, you turn to the transportation-oriented district. Now I want you to go, I'm taking areas that are one-family homes, all right? Take the homes that are at or near Manhattan College, okay? Homes within a half a mile in any direction from Manhattan College. Or, wait, stay with me. Or homes that are within a half a mile in any direction from the railroad line running along the river. Half a mile. That takes you almost up to the top of the hill, okay? Any one of those homes is part of the transportation-oriented district. I don't need, by your leave, to build a multiple dwelling. I don't need 5,000. I'm not gonna get into that little game with him. I'm just gonna focus on the fact that's what it says. I'm gonna quote what it says and leave it to them to understand. Look, I have to tell you something. There clearly was somebody at the city council who did a thorough analysis of this, and they picked up some of the points that were really bad in the economic program. Infill being one of them. Let me repeat to you again. It is today the public policy of the city of New York as directed by the administration and without contrary voice from the city council, which has not functioned on this at all, that they can do things like infill. They can do those right now. And they're doing it, except in this community board district.
I have a question of process.
They will get to this district sooner or later.
I have a question of process. At the board meeting next week, we're going to ask the members of the board to vote on this.
Yes.
They need ample time to hold it in their hands.
That's why I said tomorrow.
So I want to work back the calendar so that we know what our roles are and what our time references.
Tomorrow is the 18th. The board meeting is the 26th. If we can have everybody's input by the end of the day tomorrow, we can get it out the next day to the entire board. And what I would propose we do is to send it to the elected representatives of this community even before the board has voted on it, so that they and things like the Riverdale Press can make the point of what's going on here. This is, I tell you, I have spent in one form or another active service in the city of New York since 1960. Okay? That's a long time. I'm an old you-know-what. But I've never seen anything that's as much of a grab as this. I think I know who's responsible for it.
We'll have to discuss that someday. Not to lard this over, but there's something about the resolution that it doesn't really give our opinion on this. And no, well, but I think it might be worth it. If you'll bear with me for just 30 seconds. The first whereas, the special committee has carefully examined. The second whereas, the committee has received, reviewed, and commented upon. I'm wondering if another whereas might be worthwhile. Whereas the proposal dictates the most substantial changes to zoning in more than half a century, reversing its health, safety, and livability features.
Put it together, send it to me.
That's it.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee? Margaret? Okay, I'm gonna go to the folks in the audience. Julie, come on.
Karen's been waiting
Karen was
longest.
before me. Let me in.
Judy.
Karen. Okay.
Jody.
Jody.
You have to let me in.
Jody, you're up.
Oh, me up? I can't talk.
Hold on, Karen.
Karen was.
Hold on, Karen. I just want to do Jody and get it done.
Okay, hi, thank you. Sorry I've been absent from a lot of these discussions, but I have been feeding Karen and Laura and other committee members information. I really appreciate the summary of the buckets in the misrepresentation, because the plan is very disingenuous. It is saying that the way to create affordable housing is to just build a lot more housing and prices will go down. It's saying a vacancy rate of 1.4%, but it's not including the other 8% of vacant but not on the market apartments. That's over 230,000 apartments that are vacant but not included in that 1.4% vacancy rent. And it's kind of funny that city planning's answer is, I don't know where you got those numbers, they're wrong, and it's a Census Bureau housing vacancy survey. I appreciate that you mentioned the houses near Metro North, the rail station. There still are parts of Spuyten Duyvil that are single family houses and are not protected by the SNAD, which whether SNAD protections stay in place is a huge, huge issue with this. I'm gonna turn my camera off for a second. So I really appreciate that you're saying this, and the thing I love the most is you're realizing that if you vote yes with conditions, that the condition part is ignored and you're marked as a green check. as this community board voted yes. We saw this with ZQA and MIH, that people said yes with conditions and they counted it as yes when no one was really in favor of it. So I wrote a couple of other things down. The parking issue, we've seen that with the houses built, the apartment buildings built by Timber Equities. The illegal parking in Spite and Dival, parking in crosswalks, parking at fire hydrants, that was with a 50% parking requirement. With no parking requirement, it's going to be a nightmare in Spite and Dival. And then, I'm sorry, I don't know who was speaking, but mentioning about helping the people in need. The need that has been expressed at many of the city planning meetings that I've gone to over Zoom is we need more housing to bring more people to New York City. And there was even someone from city planning who said, not from Bronx City Planning, Camilla, so not you guys, who said, well, we're not looking to house the people who already live here. We need to bring more people to New York City. So I just think this whole plan is disingenuous. It's a housing opportunity for developers. And I'm glad that the community board is taking a very strong stance against this proposal. I'm not sure it could even be fixed. Because the other thing that they don't mention is there's already 151,000 units of housing approved that are currently being built. And I don't know if you've looked it up, but I've been going through all the lotteries. Lotteries in the Bronx on Bruckner Boulevard, you have to make $105,000 as a single person. I worked for a major cultural institution for 20 years. I can't even afford affordable housing. I never even made that much. So I don't think that this is going to help Community Board 8. I don't think it's going to help the Bronx. And I don't think that the borough presidents and the other community boards that voted yes are really reading the data. They're accepting the summary that they're given by the city, and they don't want to vote no because they're afraid that if you vote no, you're saying I'm exclusionary and I don't want affordable housing. So I'm really proud of this community board for taking a very strong stance on the issues with this. So thanks for that.
Jody, I wanted to give you a piece of information. I couldn't and didn't want to laud this with too many of them. But about 15, 20 years ago, there was a proposal to build on the area immediately adjacent to and into the water by the Spite and Dival station. There's an island, or they were going to build an apartment house. They had to come to us. We unanimously turned it down. The apartment house was going to reach up to the bridge and beyond. And there were no limitations on amount, and they said it would be a true luxury building, as I recall it. But now, you won't have the opportunity to vote on that. Nobody will. This is where the big problem is, as of right.
Yep, and I'm not sure the city council realizes that they won't get to vote on these things either.
Some members of the city council do, and enough of them have the guts to take a stand. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't know when's the appropriate time to also raise some concerns. I don't know if it's now.
Now, probably.
All right, so my concerns are, I listened to the borough president's hearing today, and, I can't deny that there isn't an urgency around affordable housing, right? It's not just about people who can't afford where they live, but we have 150,000 people who are sleeping in shelters every night, right? So there is an urgency around just at a bare minimum placing people into spaces where they can stay for an extended period of time, hopefully years, hopefully move up like the borough president discussed today. that's essentially the process that anyone who's ever moved to New York is, any person, anyone who's moved to New York from another country, all that is about being able to move, to have a sense of security and be able to move yourself up. So, I mean, I do think that part of the situation that we're in, not to take necessarily responsibility, but is certainly in this community board, we've had a lot of strong conversations about transitional housing and about who and how we're going to let move in, and who will be allowed to make changes to their homes and who will be allowed to build. I think there is a real strict way in which we've approached these kinds of approvals and the components that the city is now looking to swing the pendulum the other way and say, no, there's not going to be any community board approvals, the council won't be able to approve anything. And so we're in this sort of like extreme circumstances where, you know, for some time we've been saying, no, we don't want anything moving in here, we don't want anyone who's in transitional housing, we don't want, you know, we haven't necessarily been welcoming to do our part to house folks who are in transitions. And so now the city is, not to say that it's a reaction to just that, I mean, I agree with you that there is a money grab, and to do away with any kind of oversight and to rush this whole process, I mean, in any other city or country, you would say that's sort of grounds for corruption, right? You're pushing this through. It's the largest change to our zoning categorically in every single field, and we're removing oversight entirely. I mean, obviously, those are all like extreme circumstances. And I think we ourselves have played a role in some of the, you know, extreme, you know, contributing to some of the extreme proposals. The last thing, I hear you, but the last thing I'll mention is that I do think that this, you know, I would say that from my work, and perhaps this is subjective, right? But I think that folks are still really struggling mental health-wise. Obviously, the stresses of paying 55% of your income to rent every single month. New Yorkers are stressed. And people, there's no conditions in this proposal for green space and allowing for space for, you know, the Bronx is the greenest borough, right? And so there's no incentives, there's no protections of green space while we are trying to maximize density. So that's all I
Let me
say.
give you two comments.
Yeah.
10 days ago or so, we had what, to my recollection, is at best the first or second affordable housing proposal that was truly affordable. It was the proposal on Broadway. And if you remember, the Land Use Committee unanimously indicated its approval of it, although it was premature at that time. Now, what we have had primarily in the past are 80% of the AMI. That's the number they like to use. So it's less than the AMI. You know, the AMI is inflated. And so when you ask them, and we did ask them, if you have 80% of the AMI, will you agree that no one other than people earning up to and not to exceed AMI will come in? No. You ought to know that at the present, they do the following. Here's the building. There are 10 apartments that go at 30% of the AMI, which is pretty close to either low or moderate, okay? The other 70% or 80% are not that way. They are, once you have those handful there, that's the end of the story. The point is, that's number one. Number two, you can't build housing, affordable or otherwise, unless you have financial means. I had lunch today with somebody who's a major developer. name you would recognize in a minute. And his answer was, I gotta get financing. Financing today is very expensive. I can get it, but if I get it, I have to pay forever and 3 days that interest rate, even if it goes down a year or two from now, okay? City of New York can solve that problem. Doesn't make an effort to do so. It can do the following. We at the HDC, and I'm proud to say we, do the following every meeting. We issue bonds drawn on the city and state of New York's credit, primarily city, that afford the people who are developers the opportunity to get financing at a number they couldn't possibly get in the open market. That solves a problem for the developer. If he doesn't have the money to do it, he's not gonna do it. Number two, or number three, this doesn't even touch issues like eliminating any city taxes on purely affordable housing. It doesn't do that. City has resisted doing that. If this mayor were asked, would he do it, after a pause to get the views of certain people, he would say no. Look, it is my practice, my legal practice, to represent development. And I enjoy doing it in terms of the litigation, and do it very well. Not modest, but very well. My point is, I do know the business. This is not the answer alone. What they needed to do was have a package that dealt with financing, zoning, how many people within a construction job are on the payroll but ain't ever there? Okay? Yeah. And how many, I mean, it goes on and on. They refuse to tackle those issues. Why? Because if you tackle that last issue,
Can we get to
you're gonna have the
questions,
youth
please?
voting against. So, those are the problems. You're not wrong. I do not disagree with you. I gotta take this thing as it is.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, Karen?
I'm sorry. How often do you walk down Riverdale?
Who's talking?
That's Elaine, whoever that
No,
is.
we're to,
Karen Argenti.
You can
let her talk first if you.
No, I'll mute.
No, that's all
I'll
right,
mute.
Karen.
Let me.
Come on, Karen.
I muted
Chuck,
everybody.
what do you want to talk?
Okay.
Yeah, Karen, go.
Hi, everybody. Yes, thank you very much for this great conversation. It's heartwarming, and it's very difficult because, I mean, it's actually sad because they're spending all this time trying to solve a problem and they're not solving a problem. And we all know what the problem is, and it's heartbreaking to like even know that today the Rent Guidelines Board voted to raise the rent on people who can't afford to pay the rent that it is now, and they're still going forward and raising the rent. So I want to say a few things. One is I will rewrite BCQ's, the Bronx Council for Environmental Quality's comments, and send them to you by tomorrow afternoon. And it'll be all in one package, and it'll be easy to read. It'll be in plain English. So that's number one. Number two, I just wanted to correct something about the borough president's meeting earlier today. There's so many things, I can't remember what day it is. She did not take a position. We know what her position is going to be, but she did not take a position. She actually listened to the people talk before she asked questions. She took many of the things that we said and asked those kinds of questions. She didn't get any good answers, but she did ask questions. I don't know what she's going to do. I think her vote is already decided, and it's not against this. But hope remains wherever. And I was thinking, Chuck, since you're not going to be at the meeting on the 26th, I was thinking maybe we could get like a 1 or 2 minute tape of you and then play it at the meeting so people could hear what you had to say. And you should also designate someone to make the motion. Don't forget that before your meeting is over, so that it's clear. And I think, and I will be adding, all the stuff about the environment. So it will be a impact on, the loss of green space and stuff like that.
Karen, I spoke with the Borough President's Community person, our former executive secretary, district manager, and I told her that we don't have a vote until tonight, so we can't appear as a committee or anything else until we have a vote. I told her roughly where I was going, subject to the committee's approval, and she said, get it in next week.
Okay.
Look,
They announced that it has to be in by.
This is one tough, able woman who deserves everybody's respect, the borough.
Right. They did say that you could put testimony in after you spoke, which I did. I spoke and I also added testimony, but it has to be in by Friday. And I can send the email to Farah so she knows how to get it in. I don't know why it has to be in by Friday, but that's what.
Karen, here's what I would like you to do. You are the Bronx Committee on Environmental Quality.
Yes.
If you can give me in the next 48 hours an environmental approach, we will attach it to the report.
Yes,
okay?
I will do that. Yes. Thank you.
I'll make note that on Wednesday is a holiday, Juneteenth, so this office is closed. So whatever you could get me tomorrow, just keep as soon as possible would be really great. So
okay, I understand. Thank you.
Elaine, you're on.
Hello.
Elaine,
Hello. Hi.
you gotta
Sorry.
show yourself.
No, I'm not going to show myself. It's
Gonna
my
talk, you
birthday.
gotta
I have two questions.
show-
Well,
to
first of,
see-
can you hear me?
Elaine, I'm advised by the Committee on Law, Rule, and Ethics that for a person to speak to the.
There you go,
Hello.
thank you.
There I am. Hi, I look terrible. It's my birthday. Okay. Number one, I have a question of, I am on a board in this community and we never hear anything about these meetings. So I would love to know how we can know more about them.
Give you the answer to that question right away. What's the
Okay.
telephone number, Farah?
Can you either call us at 718-884-3959 or email me and give me your email address? You will get all of our meeting notices.
Sure.
Now
And
give me
number
your
two-
email.
Okay. Yes. We would love to be more involved. And number two, I just want to know how, and I'm not making this I'm not trying to make this a confrontational question. How often are all of you walking up and down Riverdale and Johnson Avenues?
All the time.
All the time.
Okay. And what are we are we noticing anything?
Go ahead. Well, what is it you're trying to say?
I'm trying to say that I have lived in this community for 10 years, and I have never seen more people that need housing or need help than I have in the last, I want to say, 9 months. And I don't know what has happened or what has changed. And of course, I'm not blaming the city council or the board or you, but I'm saying it has gone dramatically in one direction. Where we, of course, we're always going to have people that are homeless, and that's the Bronx. We live in New York City, but it has gone from a time of one or two individuals to a massive, overwhelming.
No idea what she's talking about.
You don't have any idea what I'm talking about? Well,
So
then you
let
should
me
go into
answer
your
that one if I may.
you should go into your Starbucks on Johnson Avenue on any given day, or I mean, it's, and I have no, I'm not
Elaine,
upset about it.
let me give
I,
you a partial answer, all right?
yes, please.
It is absolutely true that there are more people who are needy, who are homeless, who need supportive care and the like in the city. No question. But there has to be somebody who's gonna pay for that. And the city is the only place, or the feds, or the state that can. Otherwise, no developer is gonna reach in his pocket to do it. I've been at this now for over 50 years. I've yet to meet more than one or two who are that charitable, okay?
Yeah.
Number two, what you are seeing is a phenomenon partially aided by the Department of Social Services. If you put a homeless center at a point, you will have people all over the street because they got nothing else to do. They have no jobs. They're not allowed to work. They're not encouraged, okay? Go to take the New York Central. You get off the New York Central and you come to the Roosevelt Hotel, one of the most visible sites in Manhattan. That's where they decided to put the homeless. You go to Times Square. They took a brand new hotel right off Broadway and 45th or 44th Street. That's where they put them. This is not an accident. It's number three. This is the part that is the worst, in my view. There is no serious, legitimate effort made to provide housing. Let me illustrate my point. Most of these people, or many of these folk, either are not ready for employment or are not able to undertake it without retraining or the like. There is no reason under the sun why they need to have that shelter while they're learning in a residential community as contrasted with that hospital site off the Hutchinson River Parkway. The point is there are places. City refuses to make them available. There's an empty garage right opposite St. Barnabas Hospital. Been sitting empty there. Now, I haven't seen it in the last few weeks, but it's been sitting there for months, years, empty. City won't release it for housing. You need people who really want it. In my personal view, my opinion, on the basis of the years that I've seen this stuff, in my opinion, this is not an accident. This is a proposal that was put together by those who want to develop and get the benefit of this. It's part one. Part two is, now we got the authority, give me the money, right, instead of having a combined program. So don't think that people don't know it's there. This community board, in its land use committee, 10 days ago, voted to approve an oversized building, a residential building, absolutely, clearly, truly affordable housing on Broadway. You show me another place, go ahead, you'll get it.
Well, I would love to be able, and again, I will contact someone here. I would love to be able to tell my board and my community at the Edmund Lee what you guys are doing, because I don't think enough of us are involved.
More than welcome. Make
I
that call.
I would love to.
Tomorrow, and you'll get an open invitation.
No, I know that. I know
if
we're
you
not
want.
being shut out. I don't think I don't think it's that. I know that, this is God's work. So it's not
Chuck,
oversight.
just a reminder, I mean, we are trying to focus on the proposal.
Yes.
There are many housing issues and social service issues that the community board addresses in our various meetings. But in this instance,
I agree with that, but I want point made, that unless you add the incentive of finance, unless you add the other things, you're not gonna have a proposal. The fact that they didn't make any reference even to it in this
Well,
report.
but our issue here really is the nature of the change to zoning and its impact on our community.
The issue is that plus hiding your head in the sand.
Well, that's a topic for land use in general.
Okay.
And we should definitely address it. But in this instance, we're trying to underscore to our electeds and hopefully to the city council overall that we think that this is, one, inappropriate in terms of its zoning and its impact, and that it does nothing for the need of affordable housing.
Agree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else in the committee? Anybody else in the audience? Raise your hand on the machine, sir.
I wanted to ask, I'm also from the Edmund Lee. I wanted to ask, how do we, is your resolution here going to be posted, that we can share this with people?
I'm going to tell you what, I haven't told this.
Because people
I
don't
haven't-
know.
I haven't told
Let
this
me-
to Farrah. Sitting to your left is a lady who represents one of the best reporters I've ever met by the name of Michael Hinman, who is the executive publisher, or executive editor of the
Riverdale
Herald
Press.
Syndicate.
He has like 40 pages for the Riverdale Press.
Okay. He knows this is coming. He doesn't know what's in here, 'cause I have not told anybody else, not even the council people. That will be one source. I'm going to ask Farrah, during the period after I talk to both Marty and Julie, whether we have to wait until the board as a whole approves it, or we can act when the committee has approved it as a committee action.
We have an obligation to notify the public of items coming up on the agenda.
Okay, so then what we can do is forward a copy of this to every community board in the city of New York, number one. Number two, forward it to all of the newspapers, especially, what's it called, the Times? Pardon me? The one that's published
The
out.
Bronx Times?
Bronx Times, New York Times?
No.
Riverdale.
Gotham?
City?
Riverdale Times?
The city?
Riverdale.
The city.
Oh, the city, yeah.
This is
city and
something
the
that's
city?
their meat, and the government. But
And I know.
we're gonna get this out to the media. What they do with it is up to them. All right? I can't force feed them, they're all pros.
And also, you're gonna post it on
Oh,
your
yeah.
website so that we can take it in manual.
It'll be online.
And all resolutions are on our agenda when we send it out for the meeting. The resolutions are all on
But
there.
we haven't done it yet.
May not be
There till
there.
Thursday, with the city holiday on Wednesday.
Okay.
But it will be there.
Anything else?
Margaret had her hand up.
I'm sorry, Margaret.
No, that's fine. I
Her
just,
head blocked you, I apologize.
it's all right. I think it's an important conversation, and I think there are some tangents here, but I think it is core to the discussion of this, because in the, as this document has described, the presentation of the city of Yes has been all these things that people have the impression that it's going to be, but in actuality, it's not going to. So I welcome conversations, I welcome questions, not to shut them down or qualify them, but I think these are important things. We do have to keep focused, but these are all concerns that residents have, and to continue to confront them rather than saying, no, it's not appropriate here, go to end another meeting. I'm not trying to say we can solve all things here, but it is a direct component of people's concerns about affordable housing in the city and the welfare of other residents of the city, so I do think it's important to hear people out, especially if they showed up tonight.
I'm trying to do that honest. Let me just make a point that I think has to be added. This is going to be a fairly controversial approach. City planning has its problems with this board, and the board has had its problems with city planning. They have been far more serious in the last two administrations, and at any point, community boards were first enacted. And the reason is following. New York City jumps between centralized government and decentralized government. So from one extreme to the other, like a pendulum. We are now at the height of the centralized government. Don't bother me, public bothers me too much, takes too long, Europe is an extensive process. Yeah, we don't get really good comments, why do we bother? The wrong approach. That's the approach that's being taken. I will make you a bet. I know who's gonna write it for him. But the mayor will, this is just a guess on my part, by the way, no actual knowledge. Mayor will not welcome this kind of comment. But very simple, know some of my clients. They know me, and they know that I say what's important, and housing has been my hobby horse since the day I came on my 13th birthday in New York City, and living in Harlem, had my house, the door just knocked down, and people walked in and took every birthday present that they had. That's been with me. Yeah, go to work.
I just want to say a word about the committee. Looking at the formation of it, the resolution, this committee will dissolve once the New York City Council votes on the proposal, which means that this city of Yes is going to go through changes, and it's on us to follow those changes, and, you know, what's going on with the council, what's going on, and advise, you know, notify the board. People are apprised.
We will do that as best we can. I will bother Sarah tomorrow, and we'll work on a program to do it, and we'll send you all a note as to some of our ideas, and you give us yours. We'll run it by Marty to make sure it's okay.
Just to follow up on what we just said, this special committee
That's what I meant.
will cease to exist at an appropriate point, but land use and others will continue to work as they have.
Address those.
Okay, so let me repeat. Anybody who can get me stuff in 48 hours, I can look at it and try and bring it into you. 2, Jess is going to work on an executive summary and try and get it to us within a matter of days.
It's already available. Be an edit.
I have not looked at email all day except to see the people who sent it, okay? So get that to me. Number 3.
Already in it.
Number 3.
You and both.
Tomorrow, Farah, you and I will talk about how we get this out. Julie, are you still on?
That's good, yeah. He's on the phone.
Julie, are
What
you
did you have
on?
to hit to unmute?
Star 6.
Star 6?
Okay, I just unmuted. Can you hear me now? I'm unmuted.
Yes. What I want to know is any wisdom to impart.
No, I'm listening to everything, and it's a great conversation, and 100% agree with everything that you've said so far, especially about distributing all the notices prior to the meeting. And we've also invited all the community boards. We've sent out, when we're sending out the agenda, Harry's also sending that out to all the community boards, to the district managers and boards, to let them know to take a look at us at our meeting, so that hopefully it will help them with theirs, because we're meeting with the borough president's office, the chairpersons, on next Monday. We're going to be voting on this issue. Wait, is it next Monday? Yes, Monday.
I thought it was the 28th, they said, to do this.
Right, the following Monday, right after our meeting, so that we would have voted on it.
Yep.
But I wanted the other chair people to look. No, I was just saying that I just want the other the Bronx chair people to take a look at our meetings, so hopefully we can sway them in some way as well, if they're on the fence.
Thank you. Julie, you're terrific. Let me ask 2 people if they have any questions, so I avoid any issues. is the representative of the Riverdale Press. Do you have any questions of any of us? You can ask, go ahead.
I don't have anything at the moment.
Okay. News 12, any questions? News 12 going once. News 12 going twice. Thank you very much. All right, anybody else? On a motion to approve the report.
Let's approve our minutes, and then we'll approve your report.
Now, let's do this.
Minutes and roll call, then we'll take care.
Okay, do the roll call.
Okay, Charles Mosley,
Yep.
Lee Chung,
Approve.
okay, well, this is just for roll call.
Present.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Margaret Della,
Here.
Rosemary Ginty,
She's in Maine.
absent. Jessica Sosa,
Here.
Laura Spalter,
Here.
Marty Wolpost.
Here.
And you have quorum. And then you have your minutes.
Motion to adopt the minutes. Is there any discussion, question, comments? Hearing none. Motion to approve. Hearing no objection, it is deemed approved unanimously. Now, let's get to the meat. There is a resolution that's going to get changed, but it substantially provides as follows. One, resolve that the Special Committee on City of Yes Housing urges Bronx Community Board Number 8 to accept, adopt, and promulgate to the appropriate persons and entities the attached report and its appendices substantially in this form. Do I have a second to my motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those, yes, I'm sorry, Margaret?
Sorry, in terms of, one thing that, the hearing today left off was, if you don't like what this is, make recommendations with your
Yep.
experience. Could we,
Yes.
I mean, it could be broad, like these, points are, but incentives,
No problem.
if you could draft something.
But I need to know what the recommendation
But
is.
the recommendation would be tax incentives, would be financing, would
That's
be.
in the report.
In the end, yeah.
But I mean, as one of the points here.
It's in the report itself. Oh,
Okay,
you want in the
so-
whereas?
Yeah, maybe something to the effect of like, and refers to the recommendations of this report or something like that, just to account for, so let's meet the criticism where it is.
Language together will.
Fine, okay.
And in any event, it can definitely go into
The executive summary for sure, right.
executive summary.
And we can work on that together if you want, because it's,
That
well,
would
it's
be
on
good.
there, right? So.
Okay.
All right? That's going to the board together with this report, so it's not lost.
Just something to reflect that we put the effort in to make recommendations,
Yeah.
or that it's missing,
Agreed.
Not just criticize.
yeah.
Just note that there are two sections we're, in effect, voting on. We're voting on the resolution to go before the board, and we're voting on the report. The point being that the resolution, when we leave here, we have to believe, while there may be some wordsmanship, it is the resolution and cannot be changed. Whereas the report may have additions and subtractions and whatever, and Chuck will work on those based on input. But we're leaving here with a resolution that we have approved.
So my one request is that
That'll go right into
is
hers.
also directing the reader to the recommendations of this committee.
We'll go into the
However we
executive summary.
phrase it.
Sure.
Yeah, executive
And
summary.
then,
Otherwise, it's fine.
I just want to add, in the preliminary statement where we talk about those buckets, right, misrepresentation, the reasons we're rejecting it is misrepresentation of the point, which is to provide affordable housing, and then open invitations to corruption, right, which is,
That's
it's
one.
addressed in the
That's
report.
one.
So we can just, instead of writing, it just says open invitations, the idea that we are concerned about what the city of Yes, for housing opportunity is promoting open invitations for corruption.
Well,
We can add
Also,
corruption.
also an open
You could say
invitation
corruption.
to abuses, not where somebody gets a payoff, but somebody doesn't want anything to happen on this block or wants something to happen next door to me.
Corruption is.
You could say health, safety.
Not necessarily corruption.
Okay, so then
hazards.
I just wanted, because it just says open invitations, but it doesn't say open invitations to what? We understand it should be.
To proven health and
Uses
safety.
of all kind, including corruption.
Excellent. Can we add that to the open invitations in the preliminary? Excellent, okay.
Well,
So then just open-ended right here.
but the reasons why we're rejecting this is so much is that it does away with Euler, it increases as, I mean, all these things are in it, as well as the specifics, town center, you know,
The trans-oriented, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we have the reasons in there, it's all, you know.
Yeah, but in the preliminary statement, we just say to open invitations. We don't say
To
to open.
proven health and safety hazards. And you
No.
can say, and corruption.
I like
hazards.
what Chuck just said, right? To open invitations to abuses of all,
Crimes including corruption,
of all
health and
kinds, including corruption.
health and safety hazards, and unfair, I'll tell you what struck
Right, we
me,
did say-
unfair treatment of people.
Not the resolution.
There was a reporter
Unfair.
on the Riverdale Press. She was somebody who tried to live in this community. She went through all of the available items that were listed by HPD in the general area. And she found that not one of them was she qualified for, given the salary which was being paid. Because while they were called affordable, they weren't affordable to somebody making those wages, all right? That struck home, because you would think that a reporter makes a better living. They don't.
Have we adopted the report yet?
No.
No, we're in discussion, yeah. But no, it's just that these are really important because it's a preliminary statement, right? So, you know, so the first one I brought up, and I do have, so again, the buckets that we have is misrepresentation of, and honestly, I would actually, misrepresentation of the feasibility and affordability of the proposal, which is, can we add feasibility and affordability after the misrepresentation? Yes? Okay. And then the next one is open invitations to abuse of all kinds, including corruption, right? And then we'll close the third bucket being, and, you know, promoting proven health and safety hazards, of which, you know, goes back to the whole Frank Hogan thing, where we know that SROs don't work, or certain self-regulated, you know, code compliance does not work, right? Like the report mentions a lot of that. So I just want the preliminary statement to be adjusted so we can vote on that.
Would you be putting in 197A, would you be putting in Euler versus?
In the body of the
Well,
report.
we are
I
right.
know that's in the report.
Yeah, we're generalizing
But I mean,
buckets
if
though.
Yeah, right, but I mean, if you're trying to give a
Hazard,
summary
safety and hazard.
to the board members.
You can't do this by articulating it without people.
So let's all put our comments in the Google Doc.
Vote on though.
We're not voting on the report.
We're not voting on the executive summary.
No, we're voting on this, yeah, and I'm
No.
Resolution at the
Just the
end.
resolution.
Resolution at the end.
Resolution will come out all together. And then we will be putting our comments into the Google Doc, and probably at our next meeting, we will, the committee will vote.
We're not adopting
We
the
are.
report?
We are.
We are. Yes, that's what
We're
I'm saying.
adopting the report.
have-
All
we
of
have
the
other
things she
planning
has
other
said
things.
and you have said are in the report, but not articulated enough.
That was the call to the, that was the vote, right?
Yeah.
And we're in the discussion of the resolution currently.
Yeah.
We haven't voted on anything yet.
Correct.
So the
But
two
we're
different.
in the discussion
Yeah.
of the resolution.
Yeah. All right, anyone else?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the resolution?
That's where we were, right, so,
You were reading it, I think, no?
You read the pertinent parts.
You read it, okay.
All right.
Very short.
All those in favor of the resolution which is set forth in substantial form on page 21 or 22 of the agenda, please raise your hand.
Lee, your hand is
Lee,
raised?
you are allowed.
Hands up, her hand is up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we already got rid of hybrid, right?
No, it's not that.
We didn't create that yet. How can she vote? It doesn't exist.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't said to me, so you do it. I don't.
Doesn't matter, all
right. Anybody opposed?
enough. Got a quorum.
Anyone opposed? None. It is unanimously adopted. Now, let me repeat. You, if you don't mind, Barbara, if you want me, you have my cell phone number. If not, I'll give it to you. And I'm available tomorrow all day. And we'll work on getting this back to everybody as soon as I can. All right? Yes, if you need me, you know where to find me. You will in a minute.
Okay.
All right. On the motion to adjourn.
Adopted,
We already did, right?
we adopted the resolution,
Yeah.
not the report.
Yes.
Oh, not the
Oh,
report.
we adopted the report. The resolution was adopting the report. That's what it said.
That was not clear.
Yeah, that wasn't clear.
I thought,
We'll adopt the report with further edits.
Yeah, right.
What is adopted in the resolution? If somebody has a problem, we'll play with it.
I'm ready to adopt. I mean,
Yeah, but there are more edits to come.
What that says, substantially.
Substantially, yeah, substantially approved.
We covered that,
Absolutely.
we covered that.
Here you go.
Do we want to take it as?
You want to give this
vote on
to
it at least? Is it a separate item?
Margaret?
I mean, I don't have.
Okay. Are we all set now?
Substantial form.
My wife.
544?
Okay. I thank you all. Stay tuned.
The meeting is adjourned.